The dawn of the 20th century saw Chicago on the cusp of transformation. The city, known for its towering skyscrapers and bustling streets, was rapidly evolving into a major urban center. This period marked a significant shift in the city's landscape and its social fabric. Industrialization roared, drawing waves of immigrants seeking a better life. Factories sprang up, offering jobs that promised a new beginning. These immigrants, hailing from various parts of Europe and beyond, brought with them diverse cultures and traditions, adding to the city's rich tapestry. The city swelled with newcomers, a melting pot of nationalities and aspirations. Streets buzzed with the sounds of different languages, and neighborhoods began to reflect the unique identities of their inhabitants. This influx of people brought both vibrancy and challenges to the city. Amidst this bustling growth, however, lay simmering tensions. The rapid urbanization and population boom strained the city's resources and infrastructure. Social and economic disparities became more pronounced, leading to friction among different communities. Poverty was rampant in immigrant neighborhoods. Many families lived in overcrowded tenements with poor sanitation and limited access to basic amenities. Despite their hard work, the dream of a better life often seemed elusive for many. Competition for jobs, housing, and resources was fierce. Long lines of job seekers were a common sight, and affordable housing was scarce. This intense competition often led to conflicts and heightened the sense of insecurity among the city's residents. In this volatile environment, the seeds of gang culture were sown. Young men, particularly those facing discrimination and limited opportunities, found solace and identity in loosely organized groups. These groups provided a sense of belonging and a way to navigate the harsh realities of urban life. Young men, particularly those facing discrimination and limited opportunities, found solace and identity in loosely organized groups. These early gangs provided a sense of belonging, protection, and a way to exert control in a chaotic world. These early gangs provided a sense of belonging, protection, and a way to exert control in a chaotic world. They offered an alternative to the marginalization and exclusion many young men faced, becoming a crucial part of their social structure. These nascent gangs, often formed along ethnic lines, engaged in petty crime and territorial disputes. They fought for control of their neighborhoods, their turf marked by graffiti and violence. These conflicts, while often brutal, were a way for these groups to assert their presence and protect their interests. They fought for control of their neighborhoods, their turf marked by graffiti and violence. These clashes, while often brutal, remained relatively localized. The gangs' activities were primarily confined to their own communities, with their influence rarely extending beyond their immediate surroundings. These clashes, while often brutal, remained relatively localized. The true rise of organized crime in Chicago was yet to come, fueled by a potent mix of opportunity and social upheaval. The stage was set for a new era of criminal enterprise that would soon transform the city's underworld. The true rise of organized crime in Chicago was yet to come, fueled by a potent mix of opportunity and social upheaval. As the city continued to grow and change, so too did the nature of its criminal activities, setting the stage for the notorious gangsters and crime syndicates that would later dominate Chicago's history. The 1920s ushered in a new era for Chicago's underworld. The city, already bustling with activity, became a fertile ground for illicit enterprises. Prohibition, enacted in 1920, inadvertently breathed life into organized crime. The ban on alcohol was intended to curb social issues, but it had the opposite effect. The ban on alcohol created a lucrative black market ripe for exploitation. Speakeasies, hidden bars where alcohol was sold illegally, sprang up across the city. Enterprising gangsters seized the opportunity, smuggling and distributing liquor to a thirsty populace. Bootlegging became a highly profitable venture. This illicit trade brought immense wealth and power to these criminal organizations. The money flowed freely, funding lavish lifestyles and further criminal activities. Chicago became a battleground for control of this lucrative trade. Rival gangs fought fiercely, each seeking to dominate the market. Gangs like the Irish Mob, led by figures like Dion O'Banion, rose to prominence during this era. They were known for their ruthlessness and strategic acumen. Turf wars erupted as gangs vied for dominance in the city's underworld. These conflicts were brutal and often resulted in significant bloodshed. Violence escalated, often spilling into the streets and terrorizing civilians. Innocent bystanders frequently found themselves caught in the crossfire. The roar of Tommy guns and the screech of getaway cars became a grim soundtrack to Chicago life. These sounds were a constant reminder of the ongoing gang wars. This era cemented the city's reputation as a hotbed of lawlessness and brutality, a reputation that would linger for decades to come. The legacy of these tumultuous times is still felt in Chicago's history. The end of Prohibition in 1933 did not quell the violence. Instead, it ushered in a new era of organized crime, one dominated by the infamous Chicago Outfit. Led by ruthless figures like Al Capone and later Paul Ricca, the outfit exerted its influence through a combination of intimidation, violence, and corruption. Their reach extended far beyond bootlegging. The outfit infiltrated unions, extorted businesses, and rigged elections, tightening their grip on the city. Their reign of terror cast a long shadow over Chicago. The bloody Valentine's Day massacre of 1929, where 7 members of a rival gang were gunned down, exemplified the outfit's brutality and ruthlessness. The Great Migration, a mass exodus of African Americans from the South to northern cities like Chicago, brought about significant demographic shifts. From the 1920s to the 1970s, hundreds of thousands of African Americans sought refuge from Jim Crow laws and economic hardship in the North. This influx, however, exacerbated existing social tensions in Chicago. Competition for housing and jobs intensified, often along racial lines. Discrimination and segregation were rampant. This environment of inequality and marginalization contributed to the growth of street gangs in African American communities. These gangs, often born out of necessity and frustration, provided a sense of belonging, protection, and opportunity in a society that offered them little. The post-World War II era witnessed a resurgence of gang activity in Chicago. Racial tensions, fueled by discriminatory housing policies and economic disparities, reached boiling points. The city was a tinderbox of frustration and anger. Against this backdrop, street gangs proliferated. These gangs, often divided along racial lines, clashed over turf, resources, and respect. The lines between social clubs and criminal organizations blurred as gangs became increasingly involved in drug trafficking, extortion, and violence. The city's landscape was redrawn in shades of gang colors, each territory marked by graffiti and fear. The 1960s and 1970s saw the emergence of super gangs in Chicago. These large, hierarchical organizations exerted control over vast territories and engaged in a wide range of criminal activities. The rise of the drug trade, particularly heroin and later crack cocaine, fueled much of this expansion. Gangs like the Vice Lords, Black P. Stones, and Latin Kings rose to prominence during this period. They trafficked drugs, extorted businesses, and engaged in bloody turf wars that claimed countless lives. The crack epidemic of the 1980s further exacerbated gang violence, turning neighborhoods into battlegrounds. The human cost of this drug war was devastating, shattering families and leaving communities traumatized. The late 20th and early 21st centuries saw a shift in the dynamics of Chicago gangs. Law enforcement crackdowns, community initiatives, and demographic changes led to the fragmentation of many super gangs. While this fragmentation disrupted traditional power structures, it also resulted in a proliferation of smaller, often more volatile gangs. These modern gangs are often less hierarchical and more fluid in their alliances and rivalries. Social media has become a new battleground used for taunting rivals, broadcasting violence and recruiting new members. Law enforcement agencies have responded with a mix of strategies. Targeted raids, community policing initiatives, and social programs aimed at intervention and prevention have been implemented with varying degrees of success. The legacy of gang violence weighs heavily on Chicago. Generations have been shaped by the cycle of poverty, lack of opportunity, and violence that has plagued many neighborhoods. The city bears the scars of countless shootings, lost lives, and shattered dreams. The human cost of this ongoing struggle is immeasurable. Yet amidst the challenges, there is hope. community organizations, activists, and residents themselves are working tirelessly to break the cycle of violence and create a better future for Chicago's youth. They are providing mentorship, job training, and safe spaces for young people, offering them alternatives to the allure of gang life. Chicago's history is inextricably intertwined with the story of its gangs. The city, known for its towering skyscrapers and vibrant culture, has a darker side that has shaped its identity over the decades. From the early days of turf wars to the rise and fall of notorious criminal empires, gangs have left an indelible mark on the city's social fabric. These groups, often born out of necessity and survival, have evolved into powerful entities that influence many aspects of life in Chicago. The violence, the despair, and the systemic inequalities that have fueled gang activity for over a century continue to pose challenges. These issues are deeply rooted in the economic and social disparities that plague many of the city's neighborhoods, creating a cycle that is difficult to break. However, the spirit of Chicago is one of resilience and hope. Despite the hardships, the people of Chicago have always found ways to come together and support one another, fostering a sense of community and solidarity. As the city grapples with its past, it is also looking towards the future. Efforts are being made to address the root causes of violence and to create opportunities for the next generation. Through the combined efforts of law enforcement, community initiatives, and the unwavering dedication of those who call Chicago home, there is hope for a brighter future. Programs aimed at education, job training, and community engagement are paving the way for positive change. A future where violence is not the norm and where all of Chicago's children have the opportunity to thrive. The journey is long and fraught with challenges, but the determination of the people of Chicago remains steadfast.